In this video, we're going to be talking about the Canarsie real estate market for March 2022. If you're interested in learning more, stay tuned. All right, so there are going to be 5 key metrics that I'm going to go over and I'm going to discuss in this market update video. And these metrics are going to help us to get a better understanding of what's taking shape in the Canarsie real estate market. So the very first metric we're going to be discussing is the number of listings, otherwise known as the number of homeowners who are actively engaged in the process of trying to sell their property or trying to sell their home in the month of March. And so what we saw was that last year there were 48 homeowners who wanted to sell their homes in Canarsie in the month of March. And this is actually a decline of 22% to now 37 homeowners in March of this year who were actively trying to sell their homes in Canarsie in the month of March. Now, by homes, I only mean multi-family homes. So I'm not discussing single family homes. I'm only talking about multi-family sales in Canarsie. The next metric we'll be talking about is the close price to list price ratio. This ratio lets us know the amount of value a seller is able to command when they list their property on the market. So for instance, in Canarsie, if you're a homeowner and you decide to put your property on the market for $800,000 and you get a buyer who's willing to pay you $800,000, then that means your close price to list price ratio is 100%. Last year, the close price to list price ratio in Canarsie was 97.3%. This year, we did see an uptick of 1%. So now the close price to list price ratio is 98.3%. This is a great thing if you're a homeowner, not so much if you're a buyer looking to purchase something in Canarsie, but if you're a homeowner, it's showing that you're able to command as much or much more of the value of the list price on your home when you place it on the market. The next metric we're going to talk about is the median sales price, which is probably the most exciting metric if you are a seller or a homeowner. So last year we saw that the median sales price for a multifamily property in Canarsie was around $850,000. And this year we see that the median sales price increased and it is now $855,000. But that uptick in the backdrop of the fact that the close price to list price ratio is increasing, it just shows you that despite the fact that prices are going up, buyers are still willing to pay just as much, if not more, to purchase a multifamily property in Canarsie. So Canarsie, we did see struggled in January and February in terms of it being more so a buyer's market. Now we're seeing that there is buyer demand there and really strong buyer demand, so much so that buyers are willing to pay as much, if not more, for multifamily properties in Canarsie. All right, the next metric we're going to talk about is the number of homes that sold in Canarsie, the number of multifamily homes that sold in Canarsie in the month of March. So last year we saw only 4 homes sold in Canarsie, whereas this year we saw an increase of 175%. We saw that 11 homes sold. Now, if you remember in the last real estate market update I did for Canarsie, I talked about how it was really a buyer's market in Canarsie, and we talked about a different metric called the real estate absorption rate. But the real estate absorption rate, just to remind you, is essentially a rate that lets us know and determine how healthy a specific real estate market is and where the levers are skewed towards, whether they're skewed more so towards the buyers or if they're skewed more so towards the sellers. And we said that if the rate is below 20%, then it's considered a buyer's market. But if the rate was above 20%, it's considered a seller's market. So this month, we are seeing that the real estate absorption rate is now tilted more so to be a seller's market. So it's not so much of a buyer's market anymore as we saw in previous months. It's now more so a seller's market in Canarsie as we see a lot more buyer interest and fewer homes on the market from sellers. The final metric we'll be discussing in this market update video for Canarsie is the median days on the market, or DOM for short. Now this metric just summarizes the length of time it takes for a property to sell in Canarsie, a multifamily property that is. And so last year we saw that the median days on the market was 64, so just over 2 months, I would say. And this year we saw that that number remained flat. The median days on the market remained 64 for multifamily properties in Canarsie. So if you're someone who's looking to sell your property, you can expect it to take around 2 months if your property is priced well. And if you're someone who's looking to buy a multifamily property in Canarsie, you can expect the same time frame. Now, usually what I like to do towards the end of these videos is show you sample properties that sold in Canarsie in the month in question, so in March of 2022. And I like to give you a sample of what sold around the median sales price. So for Canarsie this year, it would be around $855,000, and also tell you and show you what sold and had the maximum sales price for March of 2022. Now, unfortunately, this month, we don't have a good example of a property which sold just around the median sales price. So I'm only going to be able to show you a property that sold for the maximum sales price in Canarsie. All right, so now let's take a look at this property. This property sold for $1.1 million. It is a gorgeous colonial style multifamily home. It has 2 3-bedroom units, lots of parking. It's a brick front, but it has really more so a frame build on the side. The property is 2,600 square feet, and it also has a finished basement. The look of this type of property is a rare find in Canarsie. This property is not typical of what most properties look like in Canarsie, so it's no surprise to me that this home sold for $1.1 million and that it was the highest selling home in the month of March. All right, that sums up for this market update video for Canarsie. If you enjoyed the video and you learned something new, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.